Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse on Pearl Street. We're doing it with a steady cam, back to an old way of doing business, because it's a new era. Yesterday, the Supreme Court, in its immunity decision, said that official acts have immunity. Now, as relates to here, down here in Foley Square, the Trump team is asking Judge Merchan to cancel or postpone the July 11th sentencing and to reopen the whole thing. Some of the acts did take place while he was in the White House. That was on trial. But whether those can be called official acts is a whole nother question. But if it's a question, we'll see what Judge Merchan does. We'll also see when all of these things surface. It's not incredibly transparent over there. The amazing thing is that it does put Merchan, I've seen people calling him based on the Supreme Court decision, to drop the hammer. And that it puts him and Judge Chutkan in a kind of an incredible position as district level judges. In any event, the Menendez trial is not meeting today. There's a hearing at 4 on the various pending motions about evidence, but the trial itself is not meeting. The trial that is meeting is U.S. versus Miles Guo. And in this trial, yesterday, the defense put in a position explaining, I think, for the first time, one of their defenses is that they're not saying that DOJ is operating on behalf of the CCP. No. What they're saying is that the complaints filed with U.S. courts and regulators may have been organized or forced in some way by the CCP. That's their claim. And they're saying they should be allowed to put in evidence on that in the defense case. So we'll be reporting on that. We'll see how it goes. Huang is now in hibernation until the closing arguments on Monday. Maybe the closing arguments in one of the two cases, Guo or Menendez, could be right after that. Will the sentencing take place July 11th? Nobody knows, but we'll be there, Inner City Press. Meanwhile, at the United Nations, yesterday, as we tried to cover the noon briefing, and also the new Security Council president, there was no sound. That's how decrepit. This is as they're building in Vienna, totally unexplained, we've asked them, is declared a fire trap by Austrian authorities. But the big man himself, Big Tony, he'll return to New York for a luncheon with the new Security Council president, as we tweeted yesterday. That's on their schedule. It seems to be a big focus of the month's work at the Security Council as they fail on Ukraine, Gaza, and everything else. Big Tony is in Central Asia. Big Tony is thanking the Kyrgyz president and the Kyrgyz people, the Kyrgyz Republic, Kyrgyzstan, previously known as, for naming a mountain after the organization. Yes, Kyrgyzstan, which uses the UN to try to win its water war with its neighbors, and while declaring itself the champion of water rights, has named a mountain after the UN. I call it a mountain of, you guessed it. In any event, we have applied repeatedly to get back in and ask these very questions. Quinn Emanuel, Dwayne Morris, 2 law firms pro bono, have written to Melissa Fleming. No answer at all. Absolutely corrupt. So if you're a taxpayer or a citizen of any kind, ask yourself why, if the UN speaks in your name, and if they should be taking money for the uses to which they put it, as alleged here in SDNY. Inner City Press, to be continued.